Dr. Freitas.
All right, welcome aboard again. Here's the principal's report. So to best prepare students for the transition back to a full day, we'll be standardizing the following processes, starting with executive functioning practices. And a special shout out to my assistant principal for curriculum instruction, Ms. Kylie Lindquist, who's been a leader in this. She's fantastic to work with. So we'll be implementing standardizing executive functioning practice, such as posting the daily agenda, posting unit calendars. We'll be establishing common routines, such as having all the teachers meet and greet the students, post their objectives and wrap up, doing some restorative practices, having teachers allow students to redo assignments, because the ultimate objective is for you to learn. And many of our teachers get this, and they're already, doing this. We'll be building community. Each month, our restorative team will be sharing, lessons on motivations and goal setting, because we believe these will help the students be successful as they transition back. As mentioned earlier, we'll also be screening, because we really need to know what's going on inside students' minds. We'll be doing a satchel screener for any SEL, challenges. We'll be doing practice PSAT, SAT, STAR assessments, monitoring students 3-4 times a year so they best prepare for the SAT exam, and of course supporting our course-specific assessments. Everything that we'll be doing here, the goal is to meet the building goals. I've always presented on academics, but when I really think about, the upcoming school year and what I've heard from this board, we need to get the kids back. So my building goal, the first one, is to bring over 1,600 students back. There'll be a few, that for some reason may, opt out, but the goal is to bring the students back. We're gonna have every student identify one trusted adult. Because we know, right, science says that if kids trust somebody and have an advocate, they'll be better in school and they'll stay in school and be successful in school. And then, of course, we'll be increasing students' diversity. The goal is to increase students of diverse backgrounds and advanced placement by 1% annually. And of course, to other board members, I'm always open as you guys, of course, draft and create the goals, to make that, part of my daily job as well. School culture and operations, as I mentioned a little earlier, I met with the 8th graders from Hauser virtually, and I will be doing a video tomorrow for SE Gross and Camargue, encouraging all the 9th graders to participate in summer school programming. On Friday, May 14th, Kylie, myself, and Dave, we met with the Indivisible West Suburban League to discuss what RB is doing to be more diverse, inclusive, and equitable, and I will be sharing a detailed summary a little further down. Capping on pickup, we already took care of that. Senior classroom material drop-off. Seniors, the seniors have 4 days to drop off their materials from May 24th to May 28th, from 8 to 3:05. They will, get the materials to the teacher, but if for some reason they can't see their teacher, we always put out a few tables in the atrium where they could drop off their materials. The class of 2020-2021 parade is Wednesday, tomorrow, starting at 1:15. We've shared the route with the community and with the students. Same route as we did last year, okay? Wave at us, have your signs, but this will be a parade led by administrative staff and teachers. History was made during our senior awards on May 19th. For the first time in school history, we awarded over 30 students the Seal of Biliteracy, which gives them college credit at public universities. And there were so many dozens of students that earned the commendation towards biliteracy. Hey, Michael, didn't you get that?
I got the seal, yeah.
Bam! So see, you're one of the first RB students in school history. So you're going to get some credit on that. Proud of you, but way to go. Activities and athletics. Several summer athletic and camps will be held this upcoming summer. We have all the information on our website, so parents and students can visit that. And now I would like to take everyone's attention to the executive summary action plan on race and equity. This was the guide that I used when we had the conversation with the Indivisible West Suburban League. And I'm really proud of this board because as you guys drafted your mission statement, I highlighted 3 words, committed to equity. So I know you guys value the work we're doing, and thank you for that. And this is what we're doing in the building level to support equity. First, it starts with supporting professional development for staff. We've been working with Dr. Yvette Dubiel, one of the leading experts in equity. She's worked with over 100 schools. So far, we've completed 2 out of the 10 trainings. We've completed Equity 101 and Understanding Implicit Bias. We have 8 more trainings scheduled. As you can see, this takes us from August all the way to February. The plan is already set. We've created our restorative justice team that is filled with our psychs and social workers and teachers. We provided PD to the ICs and staff on restorative practices in classroom. And during our Institute Day in August, we'll be doing treatment agreements to establish a common practice for the school. A treatment agreement basically is an understanding between teachers and students on how to treat one another in the classroom. But that's important for those educators, right? Creating a common policy just creates greater buy-in. We sent a teacher to the Harvard Graduate School seminar on race, equity, and leadership in May of 2019. Our Minority Empowerment Club presented to all the staff during one of our Institute Days. We've done cross-cultural competency training by Dr. Lourdes Ferrer. This was done in October of 2018. And I want to make clear that this work started and has been started prior to my arrival. So I landed in a good place with good people that believe in race and equity, and that should drive our work. You know, I'm blessed as a principal to be moving it forward. We've encouraged parental involvement in the Race and Equity Committee that was founded in the fall of 2020. We have students, parents, teachers, administrators, and outside educators. And if you can't make a meeting, Board of Education member, that's okay. I tell people, guys, come to the next one. It's not a problem. I understand that things happen. And also this year, we'll be taking our BPAC parents to the State Bilingual Conference. Growth in curriculum and instruction. We've transformed the Western Civilization curriculum to a world history curriculum. We'll be teaching Latin American history for the upcoming 2021 school year. We've communicated to staff to include Black and brown figures in their respective content areas, and people are doing it. We're developing curriculum in all content areas to include multiple perspectives and acknowledgement. We're continuing to teach our urban studies program. We've done trauma-informed practices, cultural competency, implemented the STAR assessment progress monitoring tool, and have the seal of bilaterality, which bridges that, which encourages equitable language opportunities and recognition. Expanding human resource and hiring opportunities. Since, if you guys go down since 2015, and these people are still here, that's what's special. Guys, we've been hiring diverse candidates in the areas of special education, school psychology, social sciences, academic intervention, paraprofessionals. So we've been doing a pretty good job in hiring diverse candidates to this day. And again, what's important that these people, they like this environment, they like the support, and they're still here with us. We've recommended updates to district policies, and thank you for the Board of Education members for supporting the elimination of hats and hoods and the 2-inch strap requirement. We've eliminated that, and you see the glow. And students, hey, I can wear my hat, I can show up my favorite team, you know? Guys, learning happens. Nothing's going on, you know? With a hood, I'm able to tell who the students are, our security and our team, so it's worked out really well because kids can really, you know, be themselves. We've supported students in extracurricular programming. Talking with the principal is a staple that I have monthly. We've done RB leadership forums where we bring clubs together. You know, the Minority Empowerment Club, the Organization of Latin American Students Club, we brought those clubs together. We've had restorative conversations. We've established the See Something, Say Something initiative, where if a kid sees something happening at school, they can let us know. We've done monthly SEL building lessons for the we have planned monthly lessons for the upcoming school year. We've supported and funded our culturally based clubs. I mean, I want the Board of Education, you guys see the work. When it comes to inclusion, diversity, and equity, we do it in everything, from hiring to curriculum to extracurricular to parent involvement. We're really living our mission. Again, I'm not claiming victory. There's still a lot of work to be done, but that's why we're here. And that concludes my principal's report and the executive summary on race and equity.
One thing the administrative team talked about is we were going through this executive summary, and Ms. Dalis participated in the meeting with Dr. Freitas and Ms. Lindquist, Mr. Mannon, and the Indivisible group. and all the stuff we have been doing for the last several years. It wasn't just
Yes.
reactionary to the events of last summer.
That's right.
But the one thing we thought about that Hector and I are going to do is we'll clean this up a little bit more, and we probably should just have a tab on the top of our website that just talks about race and equity, so people can reference easily to see all the stuff we're doing, and also a place where there's resources available, or if they would like to submit suggestions or have his meeting updates so that we can highlight it better. So
Yes.
when there are questions in the community or things that come up, there's a centrally located place advertising all the good that we've committed to over the last several years.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, I think one of the takeaways I had is that, there's been a lot of work. There's still a lot of growth to be done,
Of
right?
course.
We're only as good as we are on any given day.
Yep.
So I think the communication aspect of this is important. So I don't know if we're open to getting regular updates on these initiatives as part of the principal's report. I think that would be helpful as a subset of your report out to talk about when there's been an institute day or, an issue, or how do we call to action, get more parents involved in that race and equity committee. I think that participation in these things tends to fluctuate, and we want a core group, I think, to really focus on these issues and provide some meaningful deliverables and suggestions back to the board and the administration.
Do you mind we ask a few questions within there? So a couple things. What is the feedback that we're getting from teachers in terms of the professional development from Dr. Yvette Dubiel? Are we getting any sense of how the teachers are responding to it? Obviously, it's early.
Sure.
We're just getting started with it, but is there a sense that they're connecting with it? It's also a strange year with, I'm sure, what were Zoom meetings as opposed to, in-person dialogue, and it's certainly a lot harder to connect. But I guess going forward, I'd like to hear more about it. That's personal, but I'd also like to know, how are the teachers responding? Is there some survey that's going out so that we can get some sense of their reaction to it, their intentions in using the information to guide their own classroom management structures, their own practices in teaching equitably, and how they view the information as it comes in as to how they'll turn it into something usable. And I don't mean I want something from the teachers. I want to know what are their thoughts about it.
Sure. So I think you said it right on the money, Ryan. People are connecting with it, and they want more of Dr. Dubiel. When I came here, I established a parking lot, which is a online forum where teachers can submit comments. In 2 years, we've had over 200 comments, and people, are engaging. I think your survey idea is a great idea. And people have said, Dr. Freitas, we want more of this. When can we see her? It is validated. Some people, this is my practice. I'm glad I'm doing the right thing. And others were like, what? This could enhance my practice. I've done, I've gauged teachers, informally as I do my walkthroughs and some of the feedback, I've received on the teacher parking lot that's open, 24 hours a day. But they're connecting and they want more of it, and that's what we planned it out for pretty much the next school year.
Okay. Are there any initiatives from the instructional coaches to extend those conversations among the teachers so that there's some collective discussion, so that it's not being put into single classrooms, but rather their teachers are, and teachers will naturally communicate with what they're doing, but is there any intention with how and I realize it's early, but is there any intention on how we can get collaboration and seek to, ultimately get some data on whether we're having an effect on the students in the classroom and their comfort levels, and obviously wanting more participation from our young students coming in and speaking truth to, for lack of a better term, power. We want to hear more of that. So if things are going well in the classroom, it's probably going to be harder for us to hear because people don't talk about that. Whereas when things go poorly, we're going to hear about it. But I'd like to know more as this gets underway to have a sense of how it's impacting school climate and culture, that kind of thing.
So I think that we need to probably keep that and maybe embed that as part of maybe one of our goals.
Sure.
But we want to be careful not as board members to be like assigning different.
Nope, I am
reports.
not
Right.
asking for that. I'm asking if we
Right, and I
can
just
get a
wanna be
report
careful.
out on it. Yep.
But, I think it's,
So-
because it is part of our mission statement. So, we said our mission statement will kind of pour out the goals.
Sure.
And that would be a great, so keep that piece in mind, and then, we could be thinking about like you said, what's the evidence? What's the data that lets us know we're meeting that goal?
I have a question also. So, and my question goes towards what has been done to respond to the 2 students that came forward that evening? Because from where I'm sitting, again, brand new person, DEI is completely covered. Diversity, equity, inclusion, it's here. It's on the agenda. It's on the very neatly outlined plan. What seems to be missing is the belonging piece, because the students who came that evening clearly had something to say. And I'm wondering what has been done. Has anyone reached out to them to get more feedback?
Oh yeah, we met with them. We've met with them twice. After they came, we scheduled a meeting. The young ladies met with Mr. Mann and myself, and we met them frequently. I want to say 2 times formally, and then I see them around all the time. So they're definitely involved in this work. But we've met with them.
Because this is great. It looks really good, right? But I think Ryan said something that brought to mind what evaluation mechanisms are in place. So, for example, I see that the restorative justice team was established in 2019. Has that team been evaluated as far as what types of cases they've dealt with, what the resolution to those cases have been, if there have been cases, why, right? How could those cases be avoided? Were they handled according to practice? Because again, this looks great, but I'd like to I'm wondering about the evaluation piece.
Well,
So then we, as a board, again, I think, what are we asking as a board? How far are we drilling down? I just want us to be cautious.
It was just, I'm
Right.
curious.
Right,
Yeah.
but no one board, we got to be careful that our curiosity doesn't, because it sounds, from the bird's eye view, that we're asking for something very specific. Some of this information is protected. But as a board, as a global, what would satisfy the board so that you're comfortable knowing that this is happening, that it's being evaluated, that the kind of data you need to see that these needs or actions are being met?
So if I remember correctly, the Indivisible group came that evening, read the letter. They had some very specific requests that were outlined, correct?
Yes.
And one of those requests was, how are you, the school? How's the school responding to the students? And that's why I asked, because everything was covered. So we got the meeting notes from Indivisible, but the student response, or how we responded to the students, wasn't included. So I was just, again, wondering, can we check that off as well? We were given this information, so I was just curious to see if the students had been.
Of course,
met.
of
Yep.
course.
Thank you.
Right, and again, as a larger board, how are our students of diversity feeling so how do we frame that? So this is a great precursor, again, because every week somebody can come, so we always want to have it as, the global discussion. So how are all students of diversity, are they feeling like they belong in this community? And what do we need? What is the evidence that we need to go down there?
I also think, and tell me if I'm wrong, but and I'm not saying that what Indivisible came to speak about was inappropriate or not actionable, but we don't only, right? They don't charge us with things to do, so we have to be careful of that as well.
Oh, so again, because we were getting a report of the meeting with Indivisible, I was wondering,
Yeah.
right, if the student concern had also been addressed.
I think it's
That's
fine.
it.
Yeah, no, I
Yep.
think that's a good question. And I think in the future, Dr. Freitas, as you add this as a 4th bullet point to your principal's report, I think the restorative committee was established in 2019. In 2020, we had COVID. I don't know how much work they actually did. But as you start doing as they start working with the staff and working with groups, having a quarterly update like we do on your principal report, maybe once a quarter or once a semester on here's what the restorative team did, here's some assessment data or survey data or number of cases or meetings they had with, peer mediation or with staff and students, right? There could be something you could do as we enter into next year and we get to implement all these resources.
Yeah, it was,
So I think getting to it, it's asking what's out there. I don't think I'm putting any charge out there for them to do something. I'm asking what is being collected so that we could possibly request that information. So
Right. And
again,
that's the way that we frame it, and it's a great precursor for our work as the
Sure.
goal. But when we start to ask our principal, it almost sounds, from the bird's eye view, that we're like, okay, specific, but we could turn that around to a goal and evidence for
Sure.
that goal. And it is part of our mission statement and something that seems to be valued by the community. So it'll help us when we get to that decision, we can start thinking about it now. What kind of data would you want back? What kind of feedback? And then our administration team knows what they need to collect. They know what kind of assessments they need to look for. They know, what to report out on.
one last thing, and I do not remember what it's called, but I know as a board, we've discussed it in the past, but the students actually have a week where they highlight or spotlight some of the different clubs, and I know like one day is like, the environmental club puts the posters out and like says like, this is what it's all about, and reduce, reuse, recycle, and then the, the gender club or the minority empowerment club have a day, and then they put out all their posters. Do you guys know what that's, we obviously didn't do it this year, and maybe not even last year, because I want to say it comes in the spring, but
I can only think of Future Bulldog Night. I don't know. Yeah, I know.
it's been done in the past, and it was like a whole week.
It used to be called Tolerance Week.
Tolerance
and the last
Week.
time we did it, we talked about coming up with a different name for it. And
Because
so
it
we
had a
haven't
little
done
bit of a
it.
different agenda.
Yeah, we haven't done it since.
Has it been like 3 years?
Yeah, because I don't think we
That's why
did
I
it.
don't know it.
We didn't do it last school year either, because it's in the spring. I believe it's usually in April. And so yes, you're absolutely correct. All clubs have the option to participate in some capacity. It's usually run by the Association of Students of Tolerance, and they coordinate the event. It's a student-led event for the entire week, and they promote different facets of the school and different clubs and
Right,
organizations.
yes, thank you, Kristen, that's exactly what I was thinking of. So I don't know if you want to add that on here somewhere. Again, it has been done in the past, it seems to have phased out, but maybe something for the kids to reconsider, given everything that's going on. I don't know.
Can we ask our student advisors on, how do you feel that the race and equity is being implemented? Are you noticing differences, or are conversations changing?
I mean, I definitely think that in the past year, there's been, more of a movement to include it more. But I do think that would be a good idea if we somehow did another type of week where we brought attention to it. But I know that Best Buddies or some other organization, they had Spirit Weeks this year where they, drew attention to mental health and other things.
I
It wasn't
remember that.
necessarily race, but they did do certain issues. So it could be similar to that.
I do think though that we are highlighting those other clubs more, like Hip Hop Club, OLOS. Those have really been highlighted this year, I think, and the year prior. So I do think that there's a lot being done compared to my first 2 years in high school versus the last two.
I mean, I've never heard of Hip Hop Club, to be honest, but I know that AST is a big thing, and AST does a lot of really good stuff for that, and OLOS too. So
OLOS is a lot.
those are really big and important clubs.
So at the risk of piling on, I will say something else.
I was just wondering if we're moving on, but okay.
No, I just think I'm just saying it to express my appreciation for asking the question to Ms. Gaska, because I've felt that if there's one experience that sticks out to me over the past year, under very difficult circumstances, is that there have been those times where members of the community had the courage to come to that white table, sit down, and read a statement. And so I think we have been able to do a better job as a board because people have spoken out. Now, when it is members of the school, i.e. students, who do that, on a highly sensitive topic like equity and inclusion and all of the above and belonging, I think it's I really appreciate you asking the question because, yes, there's also sensitivity. I mean, not everything is meant for public distribution, but just, right, if there's one thing that we would like to see when students have the courage to come up here and speak out on something that I'm sure is not easy, that we do everything we can to not only show the fact that we appreciate that they spoke up, that we do all of our homework, and then it's just a simple maybe reporting back, yes, we got them covered, and so thank you for asking that question.
Any additional comments, feedback on that? Thank you. Ready to move on? Old business, life safety items, capital improvement, sustainability?
No
Do we have
updates.
any?
I think we'll be able to provide an update at the June meeting after we do our facilities meeting on next week.